Ancient civilizations surprise us with their riddles, secrets, and of course customs. Some of the rituals make us feel horrified even today. Get ready to plunge into the world of ancient rituals where faith and fear are intertwined into one inextricable whole. Now I will tell you about the most terrible and mystical rituals of antiquity. Hi friend, you're on the KirTop channel. Human sacrifice. The ancient Mayans believed that blood had a special power. It was food for the gods, supporting them and ensuring the well-being of the earth. The Mayans performed sacrificial rituals in a variety of contexts, ranging from important royal ceremonies to fortune-telling. The victims were often prisoners of war, children, or members of the royal family. They were tortured, either their heart was cut out right at the top of the pyramid, or they were drowned in sacred wells. These actions had deep religious and cosmological meaning, emphasizing the connection between earth, man, and the gods. However, for modern people, such rituals remain one of the most mysterious and terrifying aspects of Mayan culture. The Wicker Man. In the ancient Celtic cultures scattered throughout Europe, religious rites and rituals played a central role. One of the most mysterious and disturbing of these was the sacrifice in the Wicker Man. This large-scale structure, built from woven branches and foliage in the shape of a man, became a place for the ritual burning of animals and perhaps even people. Descriptions of such rituals have come to us thanks to Roman historians, especially Julius Caesar. In his notes on the Gallic War, he argued that the Druids, the religious leaders of the Celts, performed these rituals for prosperity and harvest. Captives, animals, and even volunteers were imprisoned inside the statue. After that, it was set on fire. The flame engulfing the wicker structure symbolized purification and renewal. Despite the evidence of Roman authors, archaeological finds confirming the existence of such rituals are extremely limited. This makes the Wicker Man a subject of debate and controversy among scholars. Healing rituals. In the north of Spain, among the Green Hills, hides one of the most significant Paleolithic caves, Altamira. This cave is known for its breathtaking paintings, but other amazing evidence of ancient life has been discovered among the archaeological finds here. Among the numerous bones, tools, and jewelry, the researchers found several skulls with clear holes. These holes were the result of trephination, an ancient surgical procedure in which a hole was made in the skull. Why did ancient people decide to undertake such a risky operation? According to one version, trepanation was used to treat certain diseases, such as hydrocephalus or hemorrhage. However, other scholars believe that it could have been a ritual act, an attempt to exorcise evil spirits, or even a way of communicating with deities. Perhaps the ancient inhabitants of Altamira believed that through this surgical opening in the skull, the soul could communicate with the cosmos, or it was a way to free the dying person from suffering. Be that as it may, this procedure is evidence of the high degree of medical knowledge and deep religious beliefs of the ancient people. A creepy burial ritual. Sati is an ancient Indian ritual in which a widow, voluntarily or under social and family pressure, threw herself into the funeral pyre of her deceased husband. This custom was widespread in various regions of India and became a symbol of fidelity, devotion, and endless love of the wife for her husband. Sati did not have universal application across all Indian societies and cultures. This ritual was mainly practiced among the upper castes and was especially common in the regions of Rajasthan, Bengal, and other northern territories. Researchers believe that the main reason for the existence of such a rite was the belief that in this way the widow showed the highest act of devotion and honor by being reunited with her husband in afterlife. However, another theory states that sati became popular to prevent widows from being captured as slaves after invasion and conquest by foreign powers. Unfortunately, not all cases of sati were truly voluntary. Many widows were subject to enormous pressure from their family or society, often due to social status or economic considerations. In some cases, women who did not want to die were forcibly thrown into the fire or even tied up before doing so. Reformers and activists of the 19th century, realizing the cruelty and inhumanity of this custom, began to actively fight the practice of sati. Thanks to their efforts and the intervention of the British colonial administration, a law was passed in 1829 that prohibited sati in India. However, even after the ritual was banned, isolated cases of sati continued to occur in remote areas of the country, and only an active educational campaign and socio-cultural changes gradually led to the disappearance of this practice. Rituals in the pyramid. The Pyramid of Cheops, one of the 7 wonders of the world, is fraught with many secrets. Behind the stone walls of this grandiose structure are hidden the mysterious rituals that were carried out in the depth of the pyramid. In the ancient passages and chambers of the Cheops pyramid, where the mummy of the great pharaoh lived, priests performed religious rituals designed to strengthen the magical protection of the deceased. Under the glow of thousands of torches, they cast ancient spells, turning to the gods and spirits of their ancestors. These spells not only protected the pharaoh's soul from evil spirits and curses, but also helped it travel to the afterlife, the world of the gods and eternity. Even thousands of years after the death of Cheops, these rituals remain the subject of study and admiration. They remind us of the ancient Egyptians' belief in eternity, their desire to maintain connection with the dead, and perpetuate their memory in the majestic pyramids. The leader's last journey. The Scythians are one of the most fascinating and mysterious people of antiquity. Their culture and religion was saturated with a number of unique rituals. One of the most striking and at the same time creepy was the burial ceremony of leaders. According to ancient sources, in particular the stories of Herodotus, when a high-ranking Scythian or leader died, his body was subjected to special procedures. First, the body was embalmed and then placed in the burial pit. But that was not all. The leader did not set off on his final journey alone. His servants, lovers, and sometimes even friends went to the grave with him. According to beliefs of the Scythians, this was done so that the deceased would not feel lonely in the afterlife. To perform such a ritual, servants and mistresses were chosen who were believed to be especially devoted to the leader. They were first put to sleep with a drink, and then their lives were sacrificed so that their souls could accompany their master to another world. In addition, the Scythians believed in a close connection between a man and his horse. Therefore, the horses that belonged to the deceased were also killed and buried nearby. Such a ritual was not only a manifestation of respect for the deceased, but also a demonstration of the power and wealth of the deceased leader. Among the Scythian mounds found, many contain the remains of not only people, but also animals, which indicates the widespread use of this ritual. Opening of the mouth. The Egyptians believed that after death, a person passes into another dimension where his soul, or Ka, continues to live. However, in order for the soul to fully exist in the afterlife, the body of the deceased had to be prepared in a special way. After a complex embalming process that preserved the body from the decomposition, the opening of the mouth ritual was performed. The priest, equipped with special instruments, symbolically opened the lips and eyes of the deceased. This action had a deep symbolic meaning. By opening the mouth, the priest returned to the deceased the ability to breathe, speak, and eat. The opening of the eyes allowed the soul to see the beauty and dangers of the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that without this ritual, the soul of the deceased would not be able to fully enjoy the benefits of the other world and might even face dangers, unable to protect itself or even eat. It was believed that the opening of the mouth would give the deceased a new life, making him a full-fledged inhabitant of the world of the dead. This rite was so important that images of it can often be found on the walls of tombs and on papyri, which depict various stages of funerary rituals. The priest performing the ritual was usually depicted with a stone knife or other instrument touching the mouth and eyes of the mummy. Secret meetings of Great Perm. Among the snow-capped peaks of the Ural Mountains lies an ancient and terrifying secret that still inspires fear in the locals. Perm the Great, shrouded in secrets and legends, keeps the story of creepy night rituals in the mountains. They say that every new moon, when the darkness becomes thickest and impenetrable, shamans and adherents of ancient cults gather in a sacred clearing in the center of the mountains. They bring animals with them for sacrifice and build huge fires. This ritual is over 700 years old. The ritual begins with the shrill cry of the shaman who summons the spirits of ancestors and powerful forces of nature. Then, while dancing around the fire, the participants of the ritual call upon the spirits and pronounce ancient spells. It is believed that on this night, the line between the world of the living and the world of spirits is destroyed, and those who are in the clearing can see the ghosts and spirits of their ancestors. The darkest moment of the ritual is the sacrifice. Shamans believe that the blood and souls of sacrificed animals strengthen their connection to the spirit world and allow them to receive prophecies or even special abilities. Although many consider these stories to be mere legends, there is evidence that the rituals continue into the present day. Some residents of the Urals talk about strange lights that can be seen on mountain peaks on the night of the new moon and about piercing screams coming from the depth of the mountains. Many avoid these places, especially on new moon nights, for fear of encountering participants in the mysterious ritual. The most terrible sect of antiquity. Ahuri is one of the most extreme and mystical sects in Hinduism, whose practices and rituals often cause shock and misunderstanding among others. Situated primarily in the city of Varanasi on the sacred Ganges River, these hermits worship Shiva in his Bhairava aspect, the Lord of the Dead. The main tenet of the Ahuri faith is the idea that there is nothing bad or unclean in the universe. For this reason, they choose cemeteries for meditation, believing that being close to the dead helps them overcome their fears and get closer to the divine. One of the most shocking aspects of their practice is cannibalism. Ahuri believe that eating the flesh of the dead gives them supernatural powers, allowing them to free themselves from the reincarnation cycle and become a demigod. However, it is worth noting that they do not kill people for food. Instead, they feed on the bodies of those who have died naturally. These hermits also practice rituals that involve the use of psychoactive substances such as alcohol and cannabis to achieve deep states of meditation and connection with the divine. Witch trials. Medieval Europe was an era filled with religious passions, superstitions, and fears of the unknown. One of the darkest chapters in the continent's history is the witch hunt, a period in which thousands of women accused of witchcraft were subjected to brutal torture and often fatal trials. Beliefs that witches could form alliances with the devil, harm people, or cause natural disasters were deeply rooted in the popular consciousness. Under the influence of the church and its teachings about heresy and the devil's tricks, there was real hysteria regarding witches. Witch trials could begin with simple rumors or accusations from neighbors. A woman could be accused of using magic spells to spoil crops or cause illness in animals. After the accusation, torture followed. They were used to force the witch to admit her guilt. Among the most famous methods of torture were water tests. The suspect was tied up and lowered into water. If she drowned, it was considered proof of her innocence. However, it cost her her life. If she remained on the surface, she was considered to be a witch. Other tortures included skin burning, stretching on the rack, and many other cruel methods. Many of these women were burned at the stake. Witch hunts reached their peak in the 16th and the 17th centuries, and although most victims were women, male witches were also hunted down and executed. Lupia Ritual. Ancient Rome was known not only for its conquests and architectural wonders, but also for its unique ritual holidays. One of these holidays, Lupercalia, was held in honor of the god of fertility Faunus. Every year in February, the heart of Rome was filled with special excitement. Young people, Luperci, walked through the streets of the capital to the sound of drums and pipes. They were dressed only in short leather belts, and in their hands they held whips made of goatskin. These whips were believed to have special properties. Young people ran through the streets, lightly hitting passers-by, especially women, with their whips. This custom was not cruelty or punishment. On the contrary, it was considered a blessing and a symbol of fertility. Women who were whipped believed that this would increase their chances of conceiving and having a successful birth of a child in the near future. The ceremony itself took place near the Lupercal cave on the Palatine Hill, where, according to legend, the she-wolf fed the founders of the Rome, Romulus and Remus. Young Luperci sacrificed goats, after which they smeared the blood of the victim on the faces of the participants in the ritual, and then, having washed it off with a cloth blessed with milk, they began to run through the streets of Rome. Sacrifices to Molok. Molok is a god whose name is at the center of many ancient legends and myth. Although he is most often associated with the ancient cults of Phoenicia and Carthage, rumors and stories of rituals in honor of Molok reached ancient Greece. According to ancient sources, the statue of Molok was made in the form of a man with the head of a bull. The statue had red-hot copper hands into which parents placed their firstborn children as a sacrifice. A fire burned under the hands of the statue, and when the children fell on these hot hands, they rolled directly into the flames. For the ancient Greeks, especially those who wrote down these stories, such rituals were a matter of horror and disgust. However, it is worth considering that many of these records could be distorted or even fictitious, since the Greeks and Carthaginians were rivals and fought among themselves in the Punic Wars. Myths about sacrifices to Molok were likely strengthened and reinterpreted over time. While some historians believe that such rituals actually took place in ancient cultures, others believe that these stories were part of propaganda intended to smear the enemy. The first cannibals in history. The Caribs, an Indian tribe that lived in the Antilles, were, according to legend, terrible cannibals. The word cannibal came from the name of this tribe and became a general term describing cannibalism. The Europeans who arrived on these islands carried across the ocean horror stories of the bloodthirsty rituals of the Caribs. According to legends, the Caribs attacked neighboring tribes, capturing captives whom they then killed and consumed as food during their religious ceremonies. It was believed that eating human flesh not only gave the strength of the slain warrior, but it also served as a way to strengthen social bonds within the tribe. However, it is likely that stories of Caribbean cannibalism were exaggerated or even invented by Europeans. Some historians believe that these stories could serve as justification for the cruelty and aggression of the colonists against the local population. But even if we put aside European propaganda, we are left with oral traditions from other indigenous tribes in the region that also speak of the bloodthirsty customs of the Caribs. These stories, combined with archaeological finds, provide us with a complex picture of the practices and beliefs of this mysterious tribe. Initiation rites. In the depth of the Lasso Caves, one of the most famous Paleolithic archaeological sites in the world, lies one of the most mysterious secrets of the ancient Cro-Magnons. The walls of this cave are decorated with magnificent drawings by ancient artists depicting animals, hunting scenes, and other symbols. But among all these works of art, we are attracted to strange handprints. It is believed that these prints are traces of ancient initiation rites. Young members of the tribe may have touched the cave wall, leaving their mark as a sign of transition to a new stage of life. This action could symbolize their connection with their ancestors, the spirits of the cave, and the world around them. The ritual could include various tests, a long stay in the darkness of a cave, meditation, or even some form of asceticism. By leaving their mark, the young men confirm their belonging to the tribe, the readiness to become full members of the community. Handprints are not just random marks on walls, these are evidence of deep spiritual practices and rituals that were part of the lives of ancient people. Funeral games. Ancient Rome, famous for its fighting arenas and gladiatorial games, also developed a unique ritual to honor the dead, funeral games. This ritual served as a tribute to the deceased, as well as a way to demonstrate their status, wealth, and influence even after death. It was believed that the more gladiators who died in the arena in honor of the deceased, the more honor his soul was surrounded in the afterlife. Fights were often financed by the family or friends of the deceased to highlight his importance in society. The higher the status of the deceased, the bloodier and large-scale the funeral games were. This custom arose in the early period of Roman history and, according to some sources, originated from the Etruscans. However, over time, it turned into a national spectacle, and funeral games began to be held even in honor of the emperors. These events sometimes featured thousands of gladiators, and the games could last for several days. But these were not just bloody battles. For the Romans, gladiator matches were something big. They saw in them the embodiment of Roman virtues: courage, fortitude, fearlessness before death. Gladiators going to their death symbolized the spirit of Rome, its indomitability and greatness. In addition, funeral games also had religious significance. It was believed that the blood of gladiators pacified the spirits of the deceased and provided them with a favorable position in the afterlife. In a way, it was a sacrifice in honor of the dead. Sky burial. Sky burial is one of the most intriguing and mystical rites of ancient China. This ritual was closely associated with the ancient Chinese deeply held beliefs in the afterlife and the importance of providing comfort to the deceased ruler in his new reality. the supreme ruler, or son of heaven, as he was often called, was more than just a monarch for his subjects. He was a mediator between earth and heaven, a symbol of harmony and order. The death of such a ruler was a significant and turning point event that required special rituals. The main idea of the sky burial was to surround the deceased monarch with everything necessary for a comfortable life in another world. To do this, a large number of servants were buried with him, believing that they would serve him and satisfy all his needs in the afterlife. Preserved archaeological evidence suggests that such burials were indeed practiced. The tombs were real underground palaces with halls, corridors, and chambers filled with art, weapons, jewelry, and even food. But the most touching and at the same time creepy thing is the people buried with the ruler, who were probably voluntarily or forcibly selected to accompany their sovereign. Rite of the Grey Masks. Hidden in the mystical jungles of Central America, among the mighty trees and wet greenery, was the ancient city of Tikal. This city, one of the most majestic cities of Maya, witnessed one of the most unusual and mysterious rituals, the Rite of the Grey Masks. Once every 10 years, when the first ray of dawn touched the tops of the pyramids, the inhabitants of Tikal gathered in the main square of the city to perform an ancient rite. Men, women, and even children put masks on their faces made of special clay, thin and fragile like glass. These masks deprived them of the ability to speak, turning each into a silent guardian of their secrets. For a month, those wearing masks did not communicate with each other. They were silent, listening to the whispers of the jungle and the sounds of nature, trying to find a connection with the gods. The townspeople believed that by wearing a mask, they were offering their faces to the gods, giving them their fears, hopes, and dreams. At the end of the month, on the summer solstice, the inhabitants of Tikal gathered at the foot of the main pyramid. At the moment when the sun reached its climax, everyone took off their mask and threw it into the fire, which the priests had previously lit. The flame destroyed the masks, symbolizing the liberation of the soul from earthly shackles. Some of these rituals are still shrouded in secrecy, forcing us to think about the limits of human cruelty and faith. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your thumb up. Thanks for your views. Bye everyone!